we are going to jump right in with an update on the Magic the Gathering online exchange. Adam, what do you got?
Thanks, Zach. First up, Mt. Gox, one of the earliest and at the time largest Bitcoin exchanges, which went broke back in 2014 after suspiciously losing most of the client funds held within it, has been in bankruptcy now for a very long time. But there does appear to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Creditors have been presented with two options now: take a slightly smaller recovery today in a combination of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and yen, which the exchange still has on hand, or wait for a later recovery paid in cash that might be higher but might also be lower. Creditors who choose to wait might also be waiting for quite a while, as long as a decade potentially, while related litigation involving the company proceeds. Given that choice, the two largest creditors have decided to take payments sooner rather than later. And that means that market watchers, at least some of them, are happy, since the payments will be made without first selling Bitcoin into the market itself, which some people think will be better for price stability and stuff like that. Zach, we've been following this story for a long time. What's your take on it today?
Yeah, good reporting here on this one. I'm talking to sources who are involved in this. This has been, something that's been unfolding for a number of years. Almost a decade later, we have a bit of resolution. I think this also indicates how long some of the more new crypto bankruptcies may take to unfold. But I think people have been watching this one closely, and obviously the fear was that this would cause some Bitcoin liquidation in the market that would tank prices. If these sources are to be believed, then that seems to have been avoided for the time being. And this little Bitcoin rally that we've been seeing in the markets the last couple of days could continue apace. So anyway, this is something that I think people have been watching obviously for a long time. And it seems like we're getting a bit more information as this thing, I think, comes toward a conclusion maybe by the end of this year. That's sort of what I've been hearing from folks. But anyway, interesting to see this development. I'm going to toss it to Will for his thoughts.
I don't have a lot of thoughts on Mt. Gox, I'm not going to lie. Way before my time, I was still in middle school when this all went down. But I will talk a little bit about Bitcoin price. Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin price. Year to date, since January 1st, we were up 50%. This week, it's up 10%. And I think this is pretty pleasing to most Bitcoin enthusiasts. That's what I think. But I also think that there might be some connection here with the Mt. Gox story, or at least we're going to say there is a little bit of connection here, just to give ourselves like a little bit of a backing for why Bitcoin's price is going up. Oftentimes, the Mt. Gox story is rolled out. I feel like every 6 months we have a similar story. There's some sort of development about coins are going to sell or coins are not going to sell. It's a significant portion of coins, right, that's held up in this dispute. And guess what? If they sell the coins, well, people expect the price of Bitcoin to go down. If those coins are locked up for longer, people expect the price of Bitcoin to go up. And here, as we see in this story, if these coins are never sold into fiat but kept into Bitcoin, and the people who are creditors get those Bitcoins and decide to hold them, well, then we also think that's probably a positive for price. So I have to take the crypto Wendy angle here today, since she's not here on the show. Got to talk a little bit about price. Jen, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, I zeroed in on just how long that the litigation could possibly take. So I think, Adam, you mentioned in your intro, they said it could be another 5 to 10 years. When I read the story this morning, I just thought about all of the bankruptcies that we're seeing unfold right now, all of the creditors who are wondering when they are going to get any money back, if any. And it just made me just so not optimistic for these bankruptcy proceedings. I think and I hope that some solutions and resolutions can come up for the people who are suffering as a result of this bear market. But reading this just made me think we've seen this happen before, and we're still trying to solve some of those issues. But Adam, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, there's a couple of other interesting angles to this story too. I think first off, the amount of Bitcoin we're talking about here is, I believe, 120,000 Bitcoin. So it's not a small amount. And it's worth noting that when we're talking about these recovery amounts that would be going out, they are typically more in dollar terms than what the person actually had there at the time, in large part because this has taken so long. We've been through something like 2 additional bull market, bear market cycles that have each time pushed the value up. So it's worth noting that even though we're talking about recovery amounts that in like apples to apples terms are effectively 21%-ish of what a person or entity actually had within Mt. Gox, that actually this will still be a win relative to getting paid back the dollars. And it's worth noting also that Mt. Gox was complicated. Mt. Gox was not really designed to be a Bitcoin exchange. Zach mentioned this a little bit, but Magic the Gathering, online trading cards, Like that was kind of the point of this. And so this was a really interesting time. It's also worth noting that Mt. Gox had at one point in time 80% of the trading volume in crypto. So you look at someone like Binance out there today, who are absolutely enormous players in the market. Mt. Gox was bigger than that in percentage terms. And so again, it's weird because had this been resolved in, say, 2 years, then people would have lost a lot of money, relatively speaking. But because it's dragged on so long, paradoxically, it's kind of, it's like, it's an okay thing, right? It's like, it's a savings mechanism, which is bizarre kind of to think about, but it happens. It's the coma strategy in crypto. Well, I saw you. Go for it.
Yeah, 2 points. The one thing I want to bring up is, remember that Fidelity folklore tale about like the best clients they had in terms of performance were those who were dead or forgot the password to their account? This story kind of feels like that, right? You forgot the coins, they're locked up in Mt. Gox, and now you take a big earning on top of it. And one other point to make here in terms of the coins, 120,000 Bitcoin, that's equivalent to like a lot of the firms that we're familiar with now in headlines, like the MicroStrategies of the world. If you look at Bitcoin miners in general, like the ones with the largest stack only have about between $8,000 and $10,000 Bitcoin, not very much. But oftentimes we blame Bitcoin miners or blame others who hold Bitcoin for influencing the price of Bitcoin going up and down. So I think Mt. Gox certainly does influence it a lot more than a lot of these other entities which hold Bitcoin, because it's a lot of Bitcoin to talk about.